What's good, y'all? Happy Thanksgiving. It's your boy here, Derek Branch here of SportsView360.com, covering New Orleans Saints today. And today I just want to talk about uh, Kellen Moore and his overall performance as a head coach after 12 weeks on the job at the position. For me, my grade for this dude is an I, the letter I. And the letter I stands for incomplete because everything that the Saints have done so far under Kellen Moore looks to be incomplete. We still don't know the identity of this team on offense. Um, we don't know what Kellen Moore is trying to do as a play caller. Um, they do a really good job of moving the football within the tens and the 20s. 5 yard gains, 10 yard gains, 20 yard gains. They know how to get into the red zone. But once they're in the red zone, and once they're within um territory, red zone territory, they can't convert. They don't know how to execute. This team still don't know how to execute, especially on offense. Right? If you ask me right now, I think the defense is way ahead of the offense right now in regards to showing growth because the defense, to me, the defense did enough in that Falcons game to win it. They really did. Special teams too. Special teams, I think it was Dante Pettis, it was Mason Tipton that returned the ball, returned the football, got the offense in good position to get touchdowns. And I believe they came away with nothing because Black Group A, who is now released, missed the field goal. So to me is incomplete. Everything the Saints do right now has been incomplete under Kellen Moore. You know, um, I'm not anointing him. I'm not so sure what he's going to do next season. There's been people out there that have been saying that maybe he needs more talent, give him more time, but be patient with him. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Maybe he does need more talent, but the talent you have right now, other play callers that have been with this team has shown that it can work. This is worse than what we're seeing right now. Is worse than what we saw with Pete Carmichael. It is. This is worse than Clint Kubiak. And we see how good Clint Kubiak is when he has a healthy team. We saw how good Clint Kubiak was as a play caller when the Saints were healthy for those first 2 weeks of the season. This personnel is good. This is a good group. This is a solid core of players on offense that the Saints have. Kellen Moore doesn't know what he wants to do with it. This team, those players minus Rashid Shaheed last year. You had Taysom Hill, Chris Olave, Jawan Johnson, Alvin Kamara, members of that offensive line, Eric McCoy, before he got hurt. Who else? Kendra Miller. I think Kendra Miller was on the IR at the time. But anyways, last year, the first 2 weeks of the season, with the same personnel, they averaged over 40 points a game. This year, you got a lot. The bulk of the team, the bulk of the offense has been healthy, and you struggle to score points. You know, quarterback, and it wasn't just Spencer Rattler's fault. Because you ask me now, I mean, Tyler Shucks, Tyler Shuck takes more chances than Spencer Rattler, but he's going to go through the same thing. Um, Offensive line has been atrocious. This last week, that was terrible. That was awful. When you have Taysom Hill at his age running the football. That is not a good look for your running game. Taysom Hill last week was the leading rusher, you know, and it might be too big for him. We never know. It might be too much for him as a head coach. You know, um, I just think it's been on him. It's been on about. I think you got the personnel right now to be really good, and I thought that was going to be the big change going into this season. That because of his expertise as a play caller, he's worked pretty well with Justin Herbert, worked well with Jalen Hurts, worked well with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott had one of his best years working with Kellen Moore, and I thought that would have had, even though you don't have that personnel that you had in Dallas, LA, and Philadelphia, that I thought this the core players you have right now would be good enough to have like a maybe a top 15 offense, middle of the pack offense that can stress out the defense, but you don't have that after 12 weeks, you know. So to me, his grade is incomplete. He gets an I from me. I'm not. Um, Give me a second. Let me water real quick. Unlike others, I'm still not too big on the draft class. I don't think the draft class was a success. To me, you got like one starter out that draft class right now. One, I mean, you may have a second one, and that's where you got two starters out that class right now: Calvin Banks and Jonas Sanker. I think the jury's still out on Quincy Riley. Danny Stutzman can't get on the football field, so that he's not a Demario Davis replacement. Demario Davis still playing at the top of his still at his peak right now. Vernon Broughton, he out for the season. Fidel Diggs, no, I don't even think he's on the team right now. The tight end they took out of UCLA, he not on the roster. So to me, you only got two stars out of this draft class. To me, in my opinion, when you a really good draft class is when you got guys in the third round producing, guys in the first round producing, guys in the second round producing, players you picked up in the fifth round producing, undrafted players they produce it. That's when you have a really good draft class. You don't give a draft class. You don't the same a good draft class is just not about having one or two starters come out of it, and that's it. Because this draft class you have now is supposed to be your gateway to the future, followed by the next year's draft class. So to me, the verdict is still out, but it was good to know that you got your two bookends in Calvin Banks and Talese Fuaga. But as I've previously said in the stream, Kellen Moore's grade is an I, which is incomplete. He deserves to be an incomplete rating as a head coach because me and a few others, and they got a lot of people, we don't know. We just don't know what we have in Kellen Moore as a head coach. And I think just based on how things have gone this season, this is his performance is grounds to put him on the list for being on the hot seat in 2026. It just is, you know. So I'm looking for improvements next season. I don't expect this team. One of the biggest things I'm going to be looking for Kellen Moore and the Saints in that offense. I don't expect this team to struggle inside the red zone next season. This needs to be resolved. Kellen Moore needs to get this resolved to me. So that's where I'm at with it. He gets an I. His grade is an I after the first 12 weeks of the season. And it may stay that way for me. I may provide a different, a second video in the series, then maybe I give him a better grade. Maybe I give him a C, a D, or maybe it gets to an F. I don't know because he really could get an F. Being honest, but I'm giving him a mulligan for this season. I'm giving him a mulligan, you know, because I know the team needs talent. It does need a new influx of talent. But this talent, but play calls in the past have shown that with the right play calling, this could be a good unit on offense. This is words of P. Carmichael, in my opinion. You know, and as I close it out, I want to close it out on this. Right, people are quick to point to Dan Campbell in regards to Kellen Moore's first season and how things went in his first and when Dan Campbell's first year. These are entirely two different situations. Dan Campbell fired his offensive coordinator that first year. Dan Campbell made changes his first year. Dan Campbell showed a lot of emotion his first year. Dan Campbell was crying. And I know that's not Kellen Moore's thing. He's not a rah-rah guy. I get that. That's fine with me. But these are these two coaches are very different personalities. And also, Dan Campbell had a war chest of draft picks to work with to rebuild that team, unlike Kellen Moore from the Matthew Stafford trade. The Matthew Stafford slash Jared Goff trade. So he had a lot to work with. And also, he hit on those draft picks. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameer Gibbs, Panay Sewell, Jameson Williams. They hit on their draft picks. Jack Campbell. Then you made some solid moves in free agency. Then you also picking at the top of the draft, you went and drafted Aiden Hutchinson. So these are entirely two different situations, entirely two different head coaching personalities. So that's because that happened for Dan Campbell don't mean it's gonna happen for Kellen Moore. Let's get that out of the way. All right. So that's all I have for y'all for right now. Give me a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know how you feel. What are your thoughts on Kellen Moore in the comment section below? What do you think his grade should be after these 12 weeks of the season? If you listen to this podcast through Spotify, Apple, Amazon, leave remarks, leave a review, give us a 5-star rating. Have a blessed day. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm out.